Everybody, Steve here for Who Took My Dice, and we're diving directly in right away to Arks of Omen, boarding actions, and all the stuff we know about it. I'm looking at a cool army that I built up in an attempt to try and build something, not knowing the whole picture, so here we go. So Arks of Omen is going to be the next big thing for 40k. It's going to drive the narrative. We've already heard a few things, small things about it from Games Workshop late October, not August, October. It was going to be a big narrative push, as I said. Abaddon's got these massive space hulks that he's now using to attack the Imperium. Could this be the big push towards Terra? Is this going to lead to 10th edition? Lots of questions. Now the big thing, the bigger thing, is the gameplay aspect of it. So they've stated that there will be no more army rules. They've listened to the fans. We don't want more army rules in our books anymore. I mean, I remember picking up the Octarius stuff. There's a ton of stuff in there for Guard, for Orcs, for Space Marines, Tyranids, so on. It just means more stuff to carry along if you want to build that army that you've always wanted. So that's not happening. What is happening is a brand new way to play the game, the boarding actions. And what that entails, as far as we know, and hopefully we'll get information soon, probably this coming weekend, is that it's a 500-point combat patrol with no monsters and no vehicles. That's what we know so far. And a lot of the images I've seen show things like Chaos Terminators, Brood Lords, Gene Stealers, lots of different intercessors, heavy, assault, your standard intercessors, Chaos Space Marines, Guardsmen, Ogrins, the whole thing. Lots of infantry, nothing tracked, nothing walking, so no sentinels so far. Now again, maybe they didn't want to show that till they had all the guard stuff out, who knows. But the two big things, it's 500 points. Three big things, 500 points, no vehicles and no monsters, which is kind of big. Now, this boarding action is supposed to be fought in the twisted, cramped corridors of these giant space hulks, right? Now, if you don't know what a space hulk is, that is a massive conglomerate of ships and meteors that has been hurtling through the space in the warp, and as it does that, more ships come jammed into it. So when it comes out into real space, it's just this giant amalgamated mess of different ships from different eras, some from the 31st millennium all the way to the 41st millennium, and rock and space stations and other stuff, and they're filled with God knows what. Sometimes it's orcs, Tyranids, demons, whatever has had a chance to make a home on them. Well, Abaddon wants to take these and wants to hurl them into, I guess, the undark part of the Imperium, right? On the other side of the great scar that's ripped right across the Imperium. That sounds pretty cool to me. It looks like this might be the next big push on narrative. I'm really excited to see it. The other cool thing is it does harken back to the Zone Mortale stuff that came out, years ago. And I remember working on that, playing that with a friend. We built up this whole sort of maze almost. There was rules for opening, closing doors, a whole bunch of cool stuff like that. Bulkheads exploding, extra bonuses for like blast and flamer weapons because it's such a tight place. And part of it was built for fighting on the confines of space station or ship. Other ones for underground. Lots of cool stuff. And the limitations so far, the 500 points, no walkers, no monsters, no vehicles. I'll get there eventually. Harkens back to me, and this is a long time ago. This is aging myself here. A thing called 40k in a Flash. And this was the original version of combat patrols. It was 500 points. You couldn't have multi-wound models. You didn't have to have an HQ choice. You couldn't have an armor value of over 33. Now, if you don't know what an armor value was, it was kind of like toughness for tanks and walkers, right? So you added up the sides, the front, the side, and the back. The sides you didn't count them twice, and that was your armor value. If it was over 33, you couldn't take the vehicle. So for Space Marines, no Land Raiders, you could have Rhinos, no Russes, none of the big stuff, right? And this harkens back to that. Again, you're fighting in these enclosed places, so Dreadnoughts, Land Raiders, Leman Russes, the new Rogel Dorn, these things won't fit. Right, a Sentinel, you might be pushing it. Ogren Terminators, those are the big guys. Those things are just gonna fit. Broodlord, stuff like that. Nothing bigger. So that's, I'm gonna go hop down to the army now. I'm gonna see why I picked this, and we'll see. You guys will tell me after if you think it might actually survive or no. Again, I'm going on very little information. They did say this will change the way we build armies, so we'll have to see. We'll have to see. So here we have 500 points of Ultramarines. Going with what I can only assume by all the images we've seen, the cramped hallways, lots of little rooms. You're going to need units that can move and shoot quickly. I have some aggressors with flamethrowers I should probably paint up because I think those guys would be ideal, but go with what you got right now. So first off, we get a couple tactical squads along with their tactical doctrine, which they can use several times during the battle. Good at laying down firepower that will start cutting through armor. Again, they have multiple wounds, armor of contempt. They'll survive a bit. We have Tyrannic War Veterans. Again, same thing. They'll benefit from the tactical doctrine throughout the game. Again, that's supposing that the game will play the exact same way as standard 40k does. And their special issue bolters are AP -2, so that'll lend that'll help cut through stuff. Assault intercessors, of course, we gotta have those guys with the heavy bolt pistols, the Astartes chainswords, lots of attacks. They're gonna start tearing through stuff left, right, and center. And scouts in the back. Scouts, mostly because they're points wise, they don't cost very much. I have some shotguns in there, again, for some more close combat attacks with the Astartes chainsword and the close combat weapons. I'm going to say this though, because scouts, while still cool to me, again, I'm an old school guy, they should not be elite choice. Scouts, especially for standards Astartes, they're not elites. They should be put in their own section. They should have, you know, you have HQ, troop, elite, fast, heavy, transport, Lord of War, flyer, fortification, and then scout. And that's where you should stop. Scouts should have their own separate thing, because they aren't an elite unit yet. And of course, I have Lieutenant, again, an HQ choice I went with, who's a little on the points light side. He has a mastercrafted bolter and an Astartes chainsword, so there is some ability to cut through armor there. I do like giving him a relic, either the Primarch's Wrath, which is a strength 5, AP -2, 2 damage relic bolter, or the Teeth of Terra, which is +1 strength. It is also AP -2, and I believe it does 2 damage. It also adds 3 extra attacks. So on a charge, this guy could have 7 attacks, which I think is really important in a close combat setting like that, where you're going to be diving in a combat. It's great. So this is the 500 points. So there you have it, guys. Before anything else, if you haven't, please subscribe. If you like what you saw, please just hit the subscribe, pound the like button. So yeah, that's my 500 points as is right now. We'll see what happens when we get the first book. That is the book that will have this new way to play. And I hope it isn't too much of a drastic change like Apocalypse was, with its own set of rules and dice. I think that'd be far too confusing, and a lot of extra rules. Hopefully it's, you know, standard 40k with these little limitations as far as we know. It just keeps you to small games that are fast, quick, but fun, and take advantage of being in these crowded hallways. Like I said, Zone Mortalis, you had extra bonuses for flamethrowers and blast weapons, that they could do more damage, hit more, because you're not firing them in open battlefield. You're firing them in these densely packed, tight hallways. So of course they're going to hit more. They're going to do more damage. There are rules for, you know, getting blasted out into the void of space because a bulkhead just disappeared after getting hit with like a las cannon. I hope we see stuff like that. Let me know, what do you guys think? Do you guys want to build your own 500 point army specifically for this, knowing that you have these limitations, this no vehicles or no monsters? I know there's lots of armies out there that love having these giant monsters, giant tyrannid creatures, or love their big ramshackle tanks. I'm talking about orcs. The guard with their new Rogel Dorn. Hey, you can't use that in this. Hey, those cool Russes. Sorry, you have to rely on your men on the boots on the ground, your Ogrins, your guard, your veterans. I don't think they have veterans anymore, but you know what I mean. But I'll end it there, guys. Thank you very much for sitting through this, and as always, keep rolling those dice, and I will see you later. Bye. Bye.